Hello, how are you doing? I'm back again with an interesting conversation. Today, we're discussing about how I read it. I had a very interesting conversation the other day with two people that I highly respect. One is a life coach, career coach. So she was like, Moniki, what's your hourly rate? What's your daily rate? And I thought, by the way, do I have a hourly rate? Do I have a daily rate? In actual fact, I remember a while back when I was starting my career in photography and filmmaking and stuff. I think I had an hour rate. But now, do I have an hour rate? Then within the week, I had another interesting, almost the same conversation with another lady. Fantastic lady that I respect so much. She's actually a consultant and we do a few projects together. She was like, Moniki, I think you need to give me your hour rate so that I can know how, I can build some of the projects that we are going to do together. I was like, hourly rate? That also threw me off balance because, honestly speaking, I no longer do hourly rate. And that's an honest truth. I no longer do hourly rate. And think about it actually, just reflecting on it. I think hourly rates are a scam. Or I can even declare, I will say, hourly rates are for cheap and generic services. Hey, I know some people will be looking for stones to, throw at me. But before you throw those stones to me, let's dissect. And I remember something that stuck with me a while back. In 2009, I went to Mavuno, and one of the things that you do when you go to Mavuno is that they plug you into a program they call Mizizi, Roots in Kiswahili. So Mizizi, and one of those preliminary sessions, I remember one of the lead pastors, Pastor M, saying something that stuck with me to date. Says that we need to be students of our environment, like we need to learn from our environment. And just carrying that along, I would like to ask ourselves, who charges hourly rate or daily rate? And if you think critically, the people who charge hourly rates or people we bill hourly rates are the people who do generic, almost you can replace this guy with another guy and the work will continue. Think about if you want a trench to be dark. Fundi, mtu wa mkono. You bring another guy, you'll do the same work, there'll be no difference. It's very predictable. And in my own conversation or in my own thinking, in my own imagination, I want to believe that hourly rate originated in industrial and agricultural age, back in the day where you knew for sure if you get a man's wage to be in the shamba, to do a certain task, it's very predictable, and you can agree for a daily rate, which is X number of hours. This is the amount that is this man is worth. And you'll be the same if you prorate it to a woman. I say for a woman to do this chore or to do this task, this is the rate that we give them per day. And after they have worked for a certain number of hours, you give them. Same case would appear in the industrial age. People would walk into production lines and you want someone to be loading something or to be patching something, or you understand what I mean, or to be watching something. And for this hourly rate, for sure, you can actually give them wages or pay them according to the hours they've been there. Because for the time they have been there, it's very predictable. Their output or the output of their work is this much. And if in today's world, the people who do hourly rates and should be paid for hourly rate, think of watchmen, You just need someone to stand on the gate for this X number of hours. And they're opening the gate and closing. But for me and you who do very specialized work, bespoke solutions, where the moment I show up for you, I'm showing up with 10 years plus experience. The work I do is very imaginative, it takes a lot of knowledge. It's accumulation. It's actually a combination of many experiences and knowledge, skill set, mindset to be able to give you a certain quality of work. If I bill you per hours, or if you want to bill me per hours, what factors are you using? It can get murky. And I want to work with you first as a client, why you should not, you may want to pay an hourly rate. And then we come to the other person side, a vendor, or a creative, filmmaker, director, photographer, illustrator, designer. Why you may not want to charge an hourly rate. Let's start with the client, the person buying. And I've played both roles in different times of my business. Here, I employ different skill set depending on what is happening. And I'll give you one scenario, one true story. We just finished shooting a documentary for a certain company. I don't want to mention them because that's not relevant for now. And I needed someone to sit down, edit, put it together as I focus on other things. And a fantastic idea had come up because they keep on hiring editors. I decided, you know what, let me get an editor on monthly, which is just daily rate times 30 or 28 or 24, depending on how you want to look at it. And I had this gentleman sit on this edit, this raw footage, trying to patch together the story. I'm telling you, 2 weeks, we are not given the first draft. 2 weeks, that's about 14 days. And I remember me pushing and saying, you know what, just give me what we have. Let's share to the client so that we manage expectations. And we shared the work. I want to disclose first, I was not even happy with it myself. I wasn't happy. And he was working actually from my office. He was working here with him. I wasn't happy. But I said, you know what, man, we have done horrible. We have not met our timeline. So let me just share this. I share this. As I knew it, the client wasn't happy. I wasn't happy in the first place. The client was happy. They had seen the kind of quality work we do. And that was not what the kind of work we would put. So anyway, I sat down with the gentleman again. Told him, you know what, there's the reason why, X and Y. Just coaching him and just telling him, this is how I want this thing to look like. The guy, worked on it. And yet, almost the 21st day, another week down the line, the work was not good. And this guy now have to pay him more. He's almost done a month and he hasn't done the work that we're supposed to do. So I said, you know what, let me bring another dude. This dude, fantastic job. We sat on it and I'm telling you, within a day, 2 days, the following day, the work that we managed to output, I was happy with it. The client was happy with it. Fantastic. So you as a client, do you want a guy to sit there doing the work, you paying him for every hour he's doing, and he's not giving you the what you want to do? And I know you would say, Monique, you're stretching the truth. Okay. But in this day and age where we even live in the days of social media, someone may be on TikTok, maybe on YouTube, maybe on Instagram, maybe on Facebook, and he's in the office working. Are you sure you want to pay him for every time he's sitting there? Is that what you want for your life? That's number one. Number two, are you interested actually with the man working for you or the woman working for you? Or are you interested with the output? Because for me, in my case, I just wanted the video edited the way I want and the client wants, period. I don't have interest in the guy sitting in my office. You understand? So we also double click and ask ourselves, what really are you looking for? So that is for you as a client. Let's flip sides on the other side as a creative, or as a designer, as a filmmaker. If someone, for instance, going back to example, should I pay the gentleman who worked with me for 2 days and the work was good? Should I pay him cheaper or lower than the guy who I have sat in for 3 weeks and he hasn't even delivered? The better question would be, if you are really good at what you do, should you be punished because you're doing it so quickly or within a shorter time? Like, I have invested in myself, in the craft, in the policy, in the knowledge, in the craft itself, in the business and the industry itself, that when I show up, I'm able to do something quickly within 2 days or 3 days. Someone will take a month to do. Should I be punished because I'm so good? Should you be punished as a creative? Or, should you be punished being paid low because you've worked for less hours? And it takes me back to a story I've had for many days. Different story, different variations and whatever. Paraphrasing it, but here's the message. There was a vessel, big ship, big engine that had gone false. It wasn't functioning. It was costing the business a lot of money. The business owner tried to call different mechanics, different engineers to come and fix it. They couldn't fix it. Then one day they remembered a guy who apparently worked for them a while back. And he was called back and told, hey, we need this thing fixed. The gentleman came, looked at the engine, listened to it, asked it to be put on, listened to it, and he took a hammer, went to a specific place and hit it, tap, tap. And he told the gentleman or the owner of the business, your machine is functioning well. Give me the bill. Yes, for $200,000. And ask, come on, how can you ask for $200,000 just for hitting with a mallet there? He said, fair enough, fair enough. He said, you know what? The $190,000 is for knowing where to hit. And the 10 is just for hitting. So, what am I talking about in many parables? I don't think that if you're specialized, you ought to be paid. If you're really good at what you do, you ought to be paid in hourly rate. And I want to flip it. Just asking ourselves as a student of our environment, who get paid in hourly rate? As I said, they're low and cheap. But if you want someone really specialized, if you have a problem with your eye, for instance, and you want to see the best eye doctor, will you ask them the hourly rate? Or you are actually interested just to make sure that this guy will fix your eye? Or if you have a wedding, a big event where you want your guest entertained, do you want to care about the hourly rate of that person, or you're going to get the very best performance? Because you're buying an experience. And you buy an experience, sometimes the person giving experience will detect the people they work with. And to be honest with you, think about where we are or where I am and with my business. I don't charge hourly rate because I bring solutions. We craft solutions for our customers. We craft solutions for our partners. And these solutions will scale, will depend on a lot of things. So I know someone is asking me, so Mwaniki, I shouldn't have hourly rate, what should I do? As I conclude, I'll tell you a secret. The things I do personally here is, I do three things. One, what's the value? How important is this work to the client? How important is it? If this campaign or docu that you're going to shoot for you is going to help you access funding, or get in proper books with your partners, let me just first use the funding element, and you're able to bring to the business $50 million for your business. If I ask you to spend $500,000 with us for the documentary, do you think that's that's an extremely fair ask? Okay. But if what you're doing is not of value, you just want to yap a little bit, probably you not want to work with us, because it's not so valuable for you. But if what you're asking, your work that you have is very valuable, it is of importance, then you want to engage professionals, expertise in their field, absolutely. Value. Number two, scope. If we ask on a project to discuss, I want to know what the deliverables are you looking at? Because maybe for what you have, let's say figuratively you have only 1 million. If you want 1 million, maybe you can deliver A, B, C. But if you have 2 million, maybe you can deliver C and D, or D and E. But if you have 3 million, we can deliver even F. So the scope is very important, because at times, and I hear these conversations every other day, you may want to appreciate the scope, because the scope also will dictate the cost on us. How many crew are we bringing on set? What equipment are we using? How long will it take to edit? What are the production value? All these things are in the scope, and it's important. Number 3 is the client. Who are you? For sure, it is not be right to charge, say, Microsoft or Google. They are here on Kenya, right? Or the big guy Safaricom. The same way, I'll charge. The phone is ringing. So the third one is the client. For sure, there's no way I should charge the big players, Google. Oh no, for sure, there's no way I should charge a tech giant like Google or Microsoft to do a campaign the same way I would charge probably a startup here in Kenya. Or even just looking at Kenyan companies, there's no way you charge East African breweries the same way you would charge, for instance, Kurugu Foods or Twiga Foods. They're different spaces, they have different budgets. So it's very important to appreciate the client, who the client is, and charge accordingly. That is the reason why I would not want to charge on hourly rate. And lastly, one of the disadvantages of charging an hourly rate, I find for me that it is very egocentric. Because as a creative, you're saying, this is my hourly rate, take it or leave it. And as that much may sound sexy, 2 things happen to you. 1, you either be leaving money on the table because maybe they had more budget and you just said your rate is 50K a day and maybe they had more. Or 2, you actually lose business because you said a budget or rates cost that this particular client cannot afford. You see? So you say your rate is this much, and they only, when they push themselves as a small NGO or a small business or a startup, the max they can afford is this much. So I like having conversation. I like jumping to a call. I like walking into a meeting with a client. Let's have a conversation. What are you trying to do? What's your budget? Let's have a conversation. Because that way, all of us win. You win, I win. And it's a good space to be. And as I finish, I'm reminded one of my friends or acquaintance, I can't say that, I met in one space before. And as we were talking, I asked him, hey, brother, what are you working now? Or nowadays? Hey, he told me, no, nowadays I'm mainly doing family portrait. I'm like, fantastic. So how much do you charge family portrait? It tells me, hey, I charge 5K. Like, okay. Anyway, I said, all right. So ask him, so do you charge family portraits 5K for whoever client calls you, it's 5K? Like, he told me yes. I'm like, so if the CEO of this company calls you for family portrait, you still charging them 5K? Like, yes. And if the secretary or the driver calls you for family portrait, you still charge them 5K? Say, yes, my prices are standard. I was like, dude, man, you leave too much money on the table. That is, of course, I couldn't tell him because, of course, sometimes you have to engage and see who the person talking to, where they are accommodating. You're not giving unsolicited advice. But I felt, my goodness, you lose business because if the last time this person spent on this kind of work, let's say, 30,000 or 50,000, and you're here saying you want to do the same work with 5,000, they'll question your professionalism or the quality of work. Okay? So, pro tips as I finish. One of the things you can do, ask questions. Ask questions. Ask, what kind of budget are you working on? If they're not willing to tell you that information, ask it maybe differently. The last time you did this kind of work, how much did you pay? How much did it cost you? If they don't tell you, maybe ask it differently. Like, people like you, for this kind of work, maybe ask it differently. How much do people like you pay people like me to do this kind of work? You see, you're just reframing it just to get to the bottom of how much money are these people willing to spend on this kind of work. So that you price and cost your work according to those three things I've said: the value, the client, and of course, what was the other one? Nimesahau. Oh my goodness. Kama huno hiyo listen to my class. The value. Okay. So you may want to ask those questions so that at the end of the day, you get information that will guide you. What's the value of this work that you're doing? What's the scope? What's the budget? What the money they're willing to spend on this work? And who is the client? Because the client matters. Otherwise, thank you so much. But as I say, hourly rates has come. I don't do hourly rates. By the way, you come to me, I don't do hourly rates. Let's have a conversation to help each other and be a good creatives. Cheers, thank you. Done! My goodness.